welcome to this month's TBR video. It is September and I am participating in 2 readathons this month, hence why I'm doing a separate TBR video for a change. I am taking part firstly in Becca's Bookoplathon and also in the Magical Readathon, so both of these will require specific TBRs and an awful lot of book negotiating to be done. So first things first, I played Bookopoly earlier on today. I will insert that footage now of all my rolls and you will see just how many of this stack of books I am reading for the Bookoplathon prompts very soon.
Here we go, roll number 1. And we have a 5. We have this square, girl, boy, people, person, son, daughter, etc, etc. So this is just a book with the name of a person or a title in there. Roll number 2. And we have 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, thank you, Bookopoly. I love you. We have Mood Read. Next up, and we have 9. You can't just see off screen, but that is a 5 there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we have cute. So this is just any book that is a cute cover or a cute story, just something you associate with being cute, I guess. So that should be a fun one. Come on. Roll number 4, we have a 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And oh, this is one of the fun prompts. So we have Last Colour. So this is a book that the cover of which has a colour in it of the previous cover of the book you read. That one should be fun too. A lot of my books tend to be quite black and white and neutral colours, so I'm sure that one is quite achievable for me. Roll number 5. We have a double. I knew there was going to be one of those in there somewhere. So we have 2 2s. Again, you can't quite see. We have 2 2s. So that is an extra roll. So we're now up to 9 rolls. But we have 4 for this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is Disability and Mental Health Rep. So a book which features the representation. Nice and simple to find. Roll number 6. We have 6, so my count has just moved. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No. We have Big Book, so a book with over 500 pages. Now this sounds horrible, but actually for me is probably not that difficult because a lot of my fantasy books are over 500 pages, so I'm sure I'll find something to fit that one quite easily too. Next roll is, oh my god, we have another double. We have double 3. Look. So we're now up to 10 rolls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, the board is being kind. We now have a small book, so a book which is under 300 pages. That should be probably more difficult for me to find one of, but very much welcome at this point. Now we have 2 doubles. Next roll, are we up to 7 now? I will be counting this on the screen in playback, so you'll see. And we have a 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So for this one, we have a chance card. And for chance card, we have got Wheel of Time. So on these, I just wrote a selection of books and series that I wanted to carry on reading. As you'll know from my vlogs, I've been reading the Wheel of Time series over the past few months. So the next Wheel of Time book, which is The Fires of Heaven, will be this one. Roll number 9. And we have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another Mood Read. Mood Read came up twice. Oh my gosh, this board is being so nice to me. Okay. Roll number 10. Why are you doing this? We have yet another double. So that's 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we have another chance card. And that is Spellslinger. So another book in the Spellslinger series. This will be the 4th one for me. I cannot remember what it's called, but you will see shortly. Oh, for goodness sake, that is completely off camera, but it is a 2. It is another double. That's getting ridiculous. But we have 1, 2. Ooh, so we have spooky. So this is just any sort of spooky book, spooky vibes, very Halloween themed. I was hoping to get this one just to start off those October, autumn vibes. So very happy with that one.
And hopefully our final roll, if we don't get any more doubles, roll number 12.
So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we've got another one of the clever prompts. So last letter and first letter. So this is one that was stolen from Maddie's Readathon earlier in the year. And this one, you have to read a book which starts with, the first letter of its title starts with the last letter of the title of the previous book you've read. So another clever one to try and fit together.
So as you can see, 12 rolls, 12 prompts, a little more than I was actually hoping to do, but nevertheless, here we are. So without further ado, I will talk you through the stack of books which I have selected, and then go through how I'm going to try and fit in the Magical Readathon prompts at the end of this. So first of all, we had the buzzword square with girl, boy, king, queen, people, person, that kind of square. And for that, I've decided to go with The Pagan Lord by Bernard Cornwell. This is one of the Last Kingdom series of books. I think this is the 6th or 7th, I'm not quite sure. A series I started reading a couple of years ago after having watched the Last Kingdom TV show, which I would highly recommend, by the way. It's a very good way to consume these books, and it's a really fun series if you're into that kind of thing. But I haven't read any books in this series for a couple of years. I've been onto other things, but it's high time I get back into this series, especially because I'm actually going on holiday to Northumberland throughout the course of September, and that is where our main character Uhtred's ancestral home is supposed to be. In fact, the castle that his home is based on, Bamborough Castle, is actually very near where I'll be staying, so I will probably take this one with me on holiday, and it perfectly fits the buzzword because it has the word Lord in the title. Next prompt we had was Mood Read. The board was very kind to me with this one. Now, obviously I'm going to just loosely fill in that prompt here in this video, but it might be that I pick something else at the time, which is totally allowed because it's a mood read. But at the moment, I think I'm going to go with The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien. I love this series. It was my introduction to fantasy as a child. I haven't reread this particular book for quite some time. I've read The Hobbit pretty much every year for most of my life, but the Lord of the Rings trilogy I did used to read annually a few years back, but I haven't read it for about 4 years, I think. So this one again might be one I take on holiday, but something I like to read around this time of year. I think because the story begins in September around Bilbo's birthday, it seems a good one to read at this time of year, so I'm thinking I will go with that for my mood read. The next square we landed on was the prompt for cute. So for this one, I thought, what could be cuter than a middle grade? And what could be cuter than these editions? So I recently picked up some of these children's classics in the, I think it's the Penguin Clothbound Children's Classics collection. This particular one is the Jungle Book, which I've been meaning to read for a very long time. I did read this one, I think, at primary school, but it's been a very, very long time. These editions are absolutely lovely, and you can see it has the lovely contrasting end papers as well there. It's quite a nice short one, which I'm going to be very glad of this month, and as I said, what could be cuter than a children's classic with lots of animal companions? It's going to be a good one. The next prompt we had was Last Colour. So this is one of the challenge prompts, which means you have to pick a book which has the same colour on the cover as the previous book that you've selected on your TBR. So the Jungle Book was very green, and I've picked another very green book, being the second in the 6 Tudor Queens series by Alison Weir, this one following Anne Boleyn. I read the first one in this series a month or two ago. I have the whole series on loan from my friend and it comes highly recommended. I liked the first one but didn't love it, but I am a little bit more interested in the historical element of Anne Boleyn's story and the politics around the court at the time. I've encountered the story a couple of times in different books, most notably Wolf Hall, actually by Hilary Mantel, another very good historical book. But it is time to read Anne Boleyn's story, and I'm intrigued to see how her background and her upbringing fits into what we know of her story. And do those covers not match beautifully? It's a really good colour match. I'm very happy to have completed that challenge so well. The next one we have is one that I don't actually have on my stack because I'm going to be reading as an audiobook, but I'll insert the cover here, and that is Master Artificer by Justin Call. This is the sequel to Master of Sorrows, which I read earlier this year, gave 5 stars, absolutely loved. It's a high fantasy series surrounding a character called Anav, who fits the disability prompt very well because he actually only has one arm. And it starts off in the first book in a kind of magic school setting, but very much branches out from that and goes a bit more down the route of assassins and special relics, and it's just a really exciting book. The escalation in the stakes throughout this book was just incredible, a lot more kind of graphic than I was expecting as well, and I'm really intrigued to see where this series goes because apparently it's billed as a kind of villain origin story, but from what we know of Anav so far, that seems very unlikely, so I'm really looking forward to reading this book. I would have got the physical copy, but it's only just been released this year, and I don't buy new paperbacks. New hardbacks rather. I'm a paperback fan, so until that one gets released in paperback and until my library gets it in, the only choice I had was an audiobook, so one of my Audible credits has gone on this book. It's 30 hours long though, so I'm going to have to listen to this one very sped up or over a very long time to get through it. It must be a chunky book, but regardless, one I'm very excited to get to. Next up, we had the prompt for Big Book, so ideally Master Artificer would have fit great into that one, but no. I have instead gone for part 2 of Oathbringer by Brandon Sanderson. This is the latest instalment to me in the Stormont archives. I'm just finishing off actually the first part of this one at the end of August when I'm filming this, but this is definitely qualifying as the over 500 pages for Big Book. It is in fact, I think, 740 something? Yeah, 747, so definitely on the large side, but I'm really excited to get to this one. I've loved all of Sanderson's works, but particularly this series that I've been reading recently. More Stormlight is definitely a plus for me, so I'll be looking to probably get to this one very soon at the start of September so that I can read it straight back to back from the first part of Oathbringer. But I could have done without so many large books on this TBR. Next up, we have Small Book. So the board was very kind to me and followed up Big Book with its counterpart. So Small Book in Becca's categorisation is something under 300 pages. So for that, I've gone with a continuation of a middle grade series I've been reading recently, which is the Gods and Warriors series by Michelle Paver, this being the 4th book of 5 called The Crocodile Tomb. This one follows 2 main characters, Hylas and Pyrrha, in ancient Greece and the surrounding islands, way before any of the gods in the ancient Greek typical story that we know of actually is supposed to have occurred. So this is a very different take on that era, and I really liked it, so far at least. So these books also have lots of animal companions, which is brilliant. You can see on the cover there, we've got the lion, we've got the falcon, there is also a crocodile on this one, which I don't think is anybody's companion, but who knows. And apparently in this series, our 2 main characters actually make it to Egypt, so that will be an interesting spin on the story so far, and ancient Egypt is something I'm also very interested in, so should be a good one. I'm looking forward to getting to this one. Next up, we had a chance card, and for this I had written down lots of series and books that I was looking forward to getting to soon, and a few that I was less keen on picking up soon, but the one I pulled out was Wheel of Time. So I've been working through the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan over the past few months, and I'm up to book 5, which is Fires of Heaven, which I will be picking up in September for that prompt. It's difficult to give you a synopsis for this series now because I'm so far in, and they're all big chunky books. This one again I think is 800 pages or something, so I don't know why I'm doing this to myself. But regardless, I'm looking forward to getting back to this one too. I'm loving what we're seeing of the characters. The 4th book, The Shadow Rising, which I finished recently, took me forever to read, but was definitely worth it because we had a lot of increases in the energy and in the complexity of the plot, and lots of big twists to the story, so I'm looking forward to seeing where things go from this point onwards. So The Fires of Heaven, adding onto the stack too. It's getting taller. Next up, we had another mood read prompt. I can't believe I landed on this twice, but I'm very thankful for the board for doing this to me. And again, I don't know for sure which book I'm going to pick up, but I'm thinking what I might be in the mood for and what would be a sensible choice is to try and finish off the Gods and Warriors series with its final instalment, which is Warrior Bronze. So this is the 5th book, following on from the Crocodile Tomb, which I've just talked about. I don't know anything about this one because I haven't yet read the 4th one, but this is probably something I'm going to be in the mood to read, so I'm going to put that one temporarily on there for now. And the last 3 books I don't actually have any of in physical copies here, so I will just talk you through and show you the covers. So next up we had Another Chance card, and for this one I pulled out the Spellslinger series by Sebastian de Castell. I am up to the 4th book, which is Soulbinder. So again, I'll be doing this one on audiobook. I'm loving listening to the audiobooks by Joe Jameson as the narrator. He's amazing at narrating audiobooks, so I'll be picking up that one. I've recently read Charmcaster, which was the 3rd one in the series, and I'm loving it. So definitely excited to see where this series goes. In this one we're following a young mage called Kellen, who's been raised surrounded by these magical powers, but was never the most naturally gifted himself, but finds that he has talents in other areas upon meeting a mysterious Argosy woman called Ferius and a squirrel cat called Rikus, and many adventures and chaos ensues. I will leave it there. It's a really fun series. I'm really enjoying reading these books and listening to these books, so Soulbinder will be going on the list too. The next prompt that we landed on was spooky, which I was really excited to get because obviously we are entering autumn, we're coming close to spooky season, so I wanted to pick up something a little bit different from my usual reading tastes. I have got a whole list of spooky books that I want to try and read throughout October and November, so I didn't want to pick up anything too atmospheric and risk losing it from the next couple of months. However, I was looking through and realised I have never actually read anything by Riley Sager, who is a very well-renowned thriller author. Thriller is not a particular genre that I pick up very often, but I think it has the potential to be really exciting to me. So I think I'm going to pick up a Riley Sager book for this. I've had a look in my library catalogue and there are a couple there. I'm thinking I'm going to go for Home Before Dark, but I'm not entirely sure which one I will go for. But I will just go to my library and see what they have and pick up the first one that I find. So I'll put the picture for Home Before Dark here, but that might not be the one I definitely go for. But I think a Riley Sager book is going to be what I pick. And the very last prompt that we had was another of the Clever Challenge ones, which is the last letter, first letter. So this one was poached from Maddie's Whateverathon earlier in the year. So you pick a book whose title starts with the last letter of the title of the previous book that you've read, or that's on your TBR. So going with Home Before Dark, I have decided to then pick up King of Thorns by Mark Lawrence. This is another one I shall be listening to via audiobook, and coincidentally another one narrated by Joe Jameson. Can you see a theme here? So King of Thorns is the second book, following on from Prince of Thorns. I'm not sure what the trilogy's called actually, but there's, Prince, King and Emperor of Thorns are the 3 titles. And these follow a young man called George, I'm not quite sure how you pronounce it, George, who is a very interesting character. He's very much written as an antagonistic character. You're not supposed to like him. He's very obnoxious and violent and everything else, and old before his time. It's a grimdark book essentially. It's a very gritty plot. There's lots of violence and it's not for everybody, but I actually really enjoyed it. I found it strangely captivating, and I actually really liked the characters and found myself rooting for them, even though they're pretty horrible people. So wouldn't be for everyone, but I'm actually really excited to get back to this one, and this is another one, as I said, that I have as an audiobook, so can't show you a physical copy. So that is it for the 12 books for Bookopoly. Now I then had to have a little look at the list of prompts for Magical Readathon and try and fit them in. So if you bear with me, I have written these down. So I'm looking down here at my list, but looking at the prompts for the Magical Readathon, you only have to actually complete 2 of these prompts to pass the readathon for the month, but I'm going to try and fit as many as I can with the books I've already got. I'm not going to pick up any extra books. 12 is more than enough for me to try and get through in a month, especially with the size of some of these. But just going through the prompts, first one we have the Novice Path Entrance, which is read a book with a map. I know for a fact several of these fantasies have maps in them, so that's absolutely easy. We next have the Ashthorn Tree, which is a book that keeps tempting you, so a book that's top of your TBR. Again, a number of these are very high at the top of my TBR, so carrying on with Oathbringer, for example. Master Artificer is very high up. There's a lot of books there that are high up my TBR, so I can definitely fit that one too very easily. We then have The Mists of Solitude, which is to read a standalone. We also have The Mists of Solitude, which is the prompt to read a standalone book. For this, I probably can fit Jungle Book in for that one. There might be others as well that I could potentially swap out my mood read for, but I think that's the one I'll probably go for. The next two prompts, both of which could potentially fit Home Before Dark by Riley Sager, so I'll have to pick which one of these I want to fulfill. But we have either Ruin of the Sky, which is a book featuring ghosts or a haunted house, or Obsidian Falls, which is to read a thriller or mystery book. For Obsidian Falls, I could also swap out one of my mood reads potentially for a mystery book, probably an Agatha Christie, because I'm always in the mood for those and they are the ultimate mystery genre, so that definitely can get filled too. The next one is Tower of Rumination, which is to read a 5-star prediction, which again is not difficult because many of the books on my TBR are 5-star predictions. They're books I'm really excited to read. Oathbringer, again Master Artificer, possibly Fires of Heaven, even if that continues on that trajectory, possibly Soulbind. There's a lot on there that I know I'm going to love, so that one should be quite easy too. And then the final prompt is the only one I actually don't have anything lined up for, and that is the Aurelium Academy. And that's to read a book with a school setting. I don't currently have any of those, unless you could count Master Artificer, because I know there is a magical academy mentioned. I mean, it's in the first one, so it will be referred to in the second, you would think, but I don't know for sure if it's set in the school or if they've gone wider out into the world by now. But I might be able to stretch that one. So all of those should be pretty much achievable, and as I said, you only have to fulfill 2 of the prompts anyway to pass this month's round. I haven't yet got any books lined up for the prompts for the character because I haven't actually designed my character yet. I'm pretty sure I want it to be an elf because I always associate with elves in books. I love those, so probably going to be an elf character, but beyond that I haven't sat down and actually come up with the details, but I'm very excited to do so, and we'll probably try and fit some of the prompts for those character choice, characteristics and background and things like that in the next month's reading. So that is everything for this TBR. It's quite a lengthy one. I'm really hopeful that I can get through everything. Having a week's holiday in the middle of the month will really help, but it's still going to be quite the challenge because of the size of some of the books I'm reading. But I'm really looking forward to everything I have lined up on my TBR, including 1 or 2 slightly different genres for me, so should be a very good month of reading. So thank you very much for watching this video. Give me a like down below if you did, leave a comment about any of the books I've mentioned, anything else you'd like to chat about with me, and please consider subscribing if you'd like to see more from me. I will be putting up weekly vlogs every week of September, so you can track my progress with all of these books for Bookopoly and for Magical Readathon, so please check back in if you'd like to see my thoughts on any of these. I will speak to you very soon in the next video, so bye for now.